Hello, today we're going to be learning about the coordinate plane and just remembering what it is all about, and then we're going to apply it to the trig values, okay? So I'm going to remind you that this is quadrant 1, and then this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and then this is quadrant 4. This is the x-axis, okay? So we're going to have the x-axis right here. And then this is the y-axis, just to remind you. Okay, so if you have a point right here, so remember a point is xy. If you have a point, then you're gonna have two positive ones, because let's just say you go over here and over here, you have two positive points. If you have a point in quadrant 2, then you have a negative because you have to go to the left and then up. Your y is positive. In this coordinate, both of them are negative. And then in this coordinate, both of them, well, one of them is going to, the x is positive and the y is negative. So you're going to have a positive x and a negative y. And so then when you do your sign, you're going to think this is going to be your adjacent, and the y is going to be the opposite. So the sign would be y over the hypotenuse. Now the hypotenuse is always positive, okay? So hypotenuse is always a positive number, okay? So then if that's y over the hypotenuse, then this is going to be the hypotenuse over y because it's the reciprocal. The adjacent is your x, so that's going to be x over the hypotenuse. And so then this is going to be hypotenuse over x. And then this is opposite over adjacent, so that's x over y. And then this is going to be y over x. Okay. So then you know that in this, since both of these are positive, then the sine is positive, the cosine is positive. So the cosine is positive, the sine is positive, and the tangent is positive. And then over here, well, the adjacent side is negative, so that means the cosine is negative. The sine is positive because it's the y value. And then the tangent is going to be negative. For this one, you're going to have both of them are negative, the cosine and the sine. So the cosine is negative, the sine is negative, but then the tangent is positive. And then over here, the cosine is positive because the x value is positive. So the cosine is positive, the sine is negative, and then the tangent is going to be negative. So the tangent is negative in these two, and it's positive in these two. Okay, so now we're going to do this problem. It says the sine of theta is equal to 3 over 5. The angle is in quadrant 1, so that means we've got to go over here. So first of all, you know that the sine of theta is 3 over 5. So that's your y value, and then this is your hypotenuse, or your opposite, right? So we need to find x. So you're going to do x squared plus y squared equals c squared. C is your hypotenuse. So you're going to do x squared plus 5 squared. Oh, no, not 5, sorry, 3. Your y is 3. And then 5 squared. So then right here, this is going to be x squared plus 9 equals 25. Subtract the 9, subtract the 9. So that's x squared equals 16. Take the square root, so x is 4. So your x is 4. So this is 4. And then your y is 3. So that's 3. So then there's your triangle. Okay? And so we're going to build on this. And then this is going to be your theta. And then the hypotenuse is 5. So this is your opposite, or your y value. This is your adjacent, or your x value, and then this is the hypotenuse. So now the sine, we already know what the sine is. It's 3 over 5. The cosecant, that's just a reciprocal, so that's 5 over 3. The cosine is the adjacent, so 4 over the hypotenuse. And then the secant is the reciprocal, 5 over 4. The tangent is your opposite over adjacent, so it's going to be 3 over 4. And then the cotangent is the reciprocal, so 4 over 3. Notice that all of these are positive. We knew that. We knew they were all positive because right here it said that the sine, cosine, and tangent are all positive. Okay, so let's move on to number 2 then. So notice on this one, I don't have a grid. And the reason why I don't have a grid is because you have 12 and 13. Those are really big, and these only go to -6 and +6. So you would have a grid that had to go like up to 15 or something. So I'm just going to make one. Remember, this is your X. This is your Y. And it says it's in quadrant 4. So the cosine's going to be, remember that this is the cosine of theta is 12 over 13. So that means it's going to be your X over your hypotenuse. So we need to find Y before we even draw it here. Well, we know it's going to be over here. So now we're going to do X squared plus Y squared equals C squared. So X is 12. We don't know what Y is. And then 13 squared. So now we're going to do 144 plus Y squared equals 169. Subtract the 144. And so you're going to have Y squared equals 25. Take the square root. So Y is 5. However, when you take the square root, it's plus or minus really. But we've always been taking plus because we've been just talking about a random triangle. But this triangle is more specific. It's in quadrant 4. So Y is -5 because the Y value is negative in quadrant 4. So that means that this right here is 12. Your X value is 12. Your Y is -5. And then you have this right here, the hypotenuse, that's 13. And then this is your angle right there. Okay? So now you have, this is your adjacent. This is your opposite. This is your hypotenuse. Okay, so now we're going to apply the sine. So the sine is going to be negative because you're in quadrant 4. And quadrant 4 says that the sine is negative. So it's -5 over 12. And the cosecant is also negative because that's just the reciprocal. So it's 12 over 5. -12 over 5. The cosine, well, we already know the cosine. It's 12 over 13. And so the reciprocal, the secant, is 13 over 12. Notice that these two are positive. If the cosine's positive, then the secant's going to be positive. And then the tangent's going to be negative because it's Y over X. And so Y is -5 and X is 12. So -5 over 12. And the cotangent is the reciprocal. So it's -12 over 5. You just flip it. And so then that's how you see why these signs are over here, so that you can verify yourself on when you're doing this here. Okay, so have a wonderful day. Go ahead and do your lesson for today. Thank you for paying attention.